Yes, guys, today we're gonna talk about tenses, what I mean? All about simple present today, So when we are talking about simple present, what I mean, we have to talk about all the tenses, but today is about simple present. So simple present, one, when do we use the simple present? That is part one, We also have to talk about the formula for present simple, part two. So we also have to talk about the Spanish rules for present simple. So these are all things we're gonna talk about part one, part two, and part three. You know what I mean? Okay, guys. So let's talk about when do we use the present simple. So when do we use it? This is a question we are asking. When do we use the present simple? One is about general through. The facts. When we are saying the fact, we use the present simple. So, like example here, sun rises in the east. Sun rises in the east. It's fact. You can never change it. So the sun rises in the east. You can never change it. That way is a fact. It's something fact. So if I'm saying fast, I gotta say the sun rises. The sun rises in the east. The sun rises in the east. The sun rises in the east. All right. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. Okay. The capital city of China is Beijing. It's fact. You can never change it. Something fact, guys. So the capital city of China is Beijing. You can never change it. It's fact. So that's why we say we use the present for we use present simple. Facts. When things are facts, you can never change that one. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next one is permanent situation and state. We use it in permanent situation and state. So let's see how we use it in permanent situation and state. One, we live in New York. It's permanent. So if I'm saying, okay, I live in New York, that way is permanent. So we live in New York is permanent. It's not temporal. But if I'm saying we are living in New York, that way is a present progressive. So like you wrong. So it's like saying you are living in New York today, tomorrow you are going back to Virginia. So that's why it's very good to know that when you use the present simple, it's a permanent situation. If you're in a permanent situation, always use the present simple. Speaking or writing, is fact. So we live in New York, it's permanent situation. So it's wrong to say we are living in New York. It's a temporal something. You are in New York today, tomorrow you are in Virginia. So that's why we say permanent situation used in present simple. All right, okay, let's talk about another example. Like, okay, he works at a bank. He works at a bank is permanent. He is working there. So he works at a bank is working there permanently. But if you're using present progressive, say he is working. Yeah, he is working at a bank. It's a temporal something. Maybe you're working today, tomorrow you're working. Yeah. Today you're working as a banker, tomorrow you're doing another thing. So if you are working as a bank, if you are working in a bank, so you gotta say he works in a bank. So he works in a bank. You know what I mean? Okay. So this, yes. So okay. So like example here, we gotta say he works at a bank. So he works at a bank is a permanent situation. It's there. It's permanent. Sometimes we can use a progressive and saying he's working at a bank. It's not permanent. Like you're working in the bank today, tomorrow you're working somewhere else. So we use the present progressive to talk about permanent situation. You're permanent. So the right way to talk about permanent situation, use the present simple. Okay, also I gotta use also this one. I work as an English teacher. It's fact. I'm working as an English teacher. It's permanent. I'm an English teacher. Nobody can change it. So if I say yes, I'm working as an English teacher. So like it's a permanent job I'm doing. Maybe today I'm a teacher. Tomorrow I'm a different person. But as a teacher, I'm just an English teacher. So it's something permanent. So I have to say, I work as an English teacher. I work as an English teacher. I work as an English teacher. So the verb there is work. The present progressive. All right. Okay. Let's talk about state verbs. When we are talking about state verbs here, guys, you gotta know state verbs. This is a verb that they didn't express action. We feel it, but we cannot touch them. We don't see them, but we can feel it. These are abstract verbs. So that's why you gotta check most of the state verbs here. There are a lot of state verbs. We have to use state verbs in present progressive. We no you have to see a lot of state verbs. A lot of state verbs are coming, guys. Okay, example, guys. Let's go. So we're gonna say, I have two brother. So I have two brother. Have there is a state verb. I have two brother. I don't understand what you're saying. Don't understand what you're saying. So understand is a state verb. So if I'm going to say it fast, I gotta say, okay, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. So these are state verbs. There's a lot of state verbs. You gotta check them. It's a lot of state verbs. All right, guys. Okay, let's go. Let's see where we use present simple again. Telling jokes and other informal story. When we are telling jokes, what I mean. So most of the time, when we are telling story, we use the present simple. So like example here, we gotta say, so a man goes and see his therapist. So a man goes and sees his therapist. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's a joke. So if a man goes and see a therapist, what do you mean? There's something wrong with the guy. So it's just like a joke, telling joke, So you gotta see the ghosts, So we use the word, you gotta see ghosts. So it's a present simple. The verb there is ghost, the S-E-S, okay? Subject verb agreement, you gotta know that. Live sport commentary, live sports commentary, guys, All right, Alex passes to Pedro. It's a goal, Also like Pedro kicks the ball in the midfield, Pedro kicks the ball in the midfield, The goalkeeper catches the ball, So you gotta see the verbs there. Catches, kicks, passes. The present simple. So we use them in commentary, the commentators, talking about the commentators, yeah, when they're using it in the field, Okay, let's go to the next one also. Newspaper headline. We are talking about newspaper headline, most of the journalists, when they're writing a newspaper, their headline, they are using the present simple. So like example here, Brazil wins the World Cup. So you gotta say the verb there, wins. We got, like the journalists can also say Brazil won the World Cup. Is the past tense form. So most of the time they use the present simple to write a headline, a newspaper headline, So Brazil wins the World Cup, All right, guys, let's go. We're talking about instruction and direction. We also use it in instruction and direction, present simple. All right, so like example here, okay, you turn left at the end of the road, and the school is up ahead, So now let's try to say it fast, Okay, you turn left at the end of the road, the school is up ahead, So you turn left at the end of the road, the school is up ahead, So we use it in instruction and direction, present simple. So you gotta say turn there, All right, guys, okay. All right, so let's go to the other one. Okay, reviews and summaries. We also use it in reviews and summaries, doing some review and doing some summaries. Most of the time we use the present simple. So like example here, okay, the film ends with us not knowing whether they have been successful or not, So the verb there ends. If I gotta say it fast, I gotta say the film ends with us not knowing whether they have been successful or not. All right, guys. Okay. Let's go. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot. So let's talk about proverbs and saying. We are talking about proverbs and saying. So we're not talking about proverbs and saying here. Okay. So like example, if I use it in a proverb, like how people are telling proverb, So like example here, okay, it does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you don't stop. It's a proverb. It's so interesting. It's true, man. No matter, no matter how slow you go, as long as you don't stop, just keep on going, guys. You must succeed. That's all about life, So if I gotta say it fast, so like I gotta say, doesn't we change to doesn't, do, do not we change to don't. So if I gotta say it fast, you gotta be like it doesn't matter how slow you it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop. It doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop. It doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop. you know. All right, guys. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Okay, to emphasize contract. We emphasize some contract when you contract something. Okay, like example here. Okay, Adam doesn't know much English, but he does know quite a lot about Chinese language. So when we are emphasizing something, does we are emphasizing on something like this person knows this thing better. He doesn't know this better, but he knows this more better, the Chinese. So Adam doesn't know much English, but he does emphasize something. He does know quite a lot about Chinese language. So you see, we use it to emphasize does and doesn't, to emphasize in contract. All right, okay. We also use it to emphasize on strong feeling. We emphasize on strong feeling. Okay, let's see how we. Okay, so like example, I gotta say I like playing basketball. So if I say I like playing basketball, the verb there is like. There is a helping verb here. There is a do verb here. But when we are doing present simple, we don't use the auxiliary verb or the doing verb. We use the main verb. Most of the time we use the main verb. But there is a verb here, a do verb here. So let's emphasize. We want to emphasize. We gotta say, okay, I do like playing basketball. I do like playing basketball. I'm emphasizing something, so I gotta use the word do. I do like playing basketball. Emphasizing something. So you see, so that's why the present simple can also have an auxiliary verb or a helping verb or a verb to be done is there, but we don't put it there. But we put it there when we're trying to emphasize something. Okay, I do like playing basketball. Okay, all right, guys. Okay, so let's go. Let's talk about the feature. All right, okay, let's talk about the future. For fixed event, we also use the present simple to talk about the future. In a fixed event, so let's see how we use the present simple to talk about the future. The present talking about the future in a fixed event. All right, so one, we gotta use not, until, not, for. Okay, not until, not for. So let's see how we use it. The present simple talk about the future. Okay, the movie doesn't end until 3:30. So the movie does not end until 3:30. So we are talking about the future here. So it's like saying the movie is not going to end until 3:30. So we are using the present simple to talk about to talk about the future. So the movie doesn't end until 3:30. We use the present simple talking about the future. All right, also the classes don't start until October. We are talking about the future. So the classes don't start until October. So what are we talking about here? So the classes will not start now, it will start October. That's what we are talking about here. So that's where we say we can use the present simple to talk about the future. All right, okay, let's go to this next one. Okay, my plane doesn't leave for an hour. So my plane doesn't leave for an hour. So I use the present simple here. Doesn't leave for an hour. So I'm talking about the future here using the present simple. So my plane doesn't leave for an hour. So if I'm using like the real future, my plane is not going to leave. My plane is not going to leave for an hour. Going to, So most present simple. My plane doesn't leave for an hour. I'm talking about the future. Okay. All right. Okay. My vacation doesn't start for another month. My vacation does not start for another month. So my vacation doesn't start for another month. I'm still talking about the future here using the present simple. Does not. All right. Okay. Talking about what? Term ends on the 21st December. So the term ends on the 21st December. So this, if I'm using the future tense, it gotta be the term is going to end on 21st December. If I'm using the future, the simple future, But because we're using the present to talking about the future, so we say terms ends on the 21st December. So that's why we can use the present simple to talk about